All right, guys, we are back for another one. My name is Esteban. I'm a mentor. I basically just help producers find clients and artists. Now, with that being said, I'll let my guest introduce himself, tell him who you are, where you're from, and kind of like what your story is.
I am Pickle Fingers. I'm a producer and artist, and I've basically been kind of trying to get clients for my production, and this program actually helped me a lot to understand the ins and outs of like approaching clients. So
Awesome.
pretty cool.
So let's kind of like take a few steps back before you took the 30-day program. What were you doing before to try to get clients, and like what wasn't working for you?
To be honest, it was kind of the way of actually contacting someone. Like, it may, in a way, seem pretty basic, but if you use some type of framework, it doesn't seem like you're pushy, and that's actually pretty smart. Because if people are really sensitive to people being pushy and trying to push stuff on them, right? Especially on social media, and that's what I kind of had trouble with avoiding to sound like I wanted to push something on them, right? Um, and it kind of helped me understand the ins and outs of proper communication with clients.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and you know what? Let's break that down, even for like the people that are watching. What was the framework that you learned that kind of helped you not come off pushy, and kind of put you in a position to really like reach out to artists?
Yeah, there's this framework called ACA, which I basically use in every message I send out nowadays because it's actually a pretty good conversation starter in every conversation actually, not only if you want to sell something, just in general. Um, and what ACA stands for is like acknowledge, compliment, and ask, because you can use that in every conversational setting, right? You can always find something to acknowledge in something a person has said and something to compliment about, and then you can ask a question. And once people feel acknowledged, um, they tend to answer more, right? They
A
tend to
hundred
reply
percent.
more,
Yeah.
they tend to ghost you less, and that's what I kind of learned.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for a lot of producers to like just understand how to start a conversation, but then most importantly, how to carry it. It's really easy to be like left on scene. So now let's kind of shift gears. You mentioned kind of the hardest part was reaching out and communicating better, but then learning the ACA framework. With that being said, let's talk about the tools we use to find the artist that we're looking for. Can you kind of explain that in your own words? So what tool we use and what it is?
Well, you kind of introduced me to Producer Fury, which is kind of a platform where it's pretty smart actually because you can just filter out artists that are similar to some specific sound you're looking for. In my case, I was a lot into the beats that Prof was rapping to, and I'm obsessed with that artist. To be honest, I absolutely love him. Um, and that's why I just went in and typed in the artist name, and then it spits out basically artists that it thinks basically that is similar to, right? And then you can sift through and pick artists you like, and then save them in order to approach them later. And you can go straight from Producer Fury to their Instagram and copy a message and send it out, right?
No, yeah, no, like, and producer fury is just like the biggest game changer that people don't realize. So, what were you doing before to try to find artists? Like, what was that process like for you?
Actually, that was pretty random. I was actually hitting up artists I kind of vibed with. It was kind of
Mm,
a feeling thing. It was not really structured. And producer theory kind of gave me a structured way of like finding artists, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Especially, I think what separates producer theory from like I guess traditional methods is like quality. Like the quality control is like
Right.
insane. Now, can we talk about the major differences in terms of what your goal was when you were DMing people before we met versus now? Because what I teach is like how to get artists in front of you and sitting with them and meeting with them. So, like, what were you doing then, and how is it different now for you as far as your approach?
It's way more structured now, to be honest. I have way more structured goals. Like before that, it was kind of vague, to be honest. I didn't have like that much of a specific goal. But right now, I have like, due to this whole program, I have like structured products, structured packages, which I can just tell the artists that are interested in what I have to offer, like very concretely, like right, and very concisely, and it kind of gave me a structure in my head too, to where I want to go with this.
So, and break that down. Break down like the product side of it. You know, what were you like showing before, if you were showing it, and like what's the difference now?
Well, before that, I was kind of just showing stuff I worked on earlier, and kind of showing off my kind of vibe and my kind of
Yeah,
sounds and stuff like that. And what I do now, basically, now I have like three structured product tiers, which are actually very well structured. Um, yeah, so and I can just show it to the artists that are interested in, and yeah,
yeah.
I
And
have
I
also I also have like a bunch of beats ready to go just to um, manipulate them for specific artists. Yeah.
definitely. And you know, I want to touch on something else because like you didn't bring it up, but as you were talking, like for some reason I just thought of it. A lot of the producers I speak to don't have any sales experience. Is it safe to say you didn't have any sales experience before
Yeah,
this?
facts. That's also true, right?
So talk about like what you learned as far as you know what to say to them, and then how to pitch your products that we created together.
Yeah, the thing is, in the first message, you don't even mention like anything that you want to push on them. You just go in and you engage with them, and you tell them what you acknowledge about them and what you like about them, and then you just ask a general question, like for example, how long have you been making music for? Is kind of my basic question, like right. That's my basic conversation starter, and when you go from there, you can go deeper. You can kind of dig deeper into what the artist might need, right? What the struggle, what the possible struggles are in finding beats, right? And always using that ACA framework, always connecting that to the thing the artist replied to your last message, and that kind of gives you a whole thread throughout the whole conversation, which is very very helpful.
Yeah, that 1,000%. And then like that was a good way of like breaking the conversation down. Like it's one thing to start it, but then one thing to carry it. I think the most important thing that like I teach you and like everybody else that joins the program is what questions to ask. Like if you're just asking any type of question, then of course the conversation is not going to go the way that you want it. So, very quickly, maybe I have one or two more questions left, but what was your favorite thing you learned or favorite tool you used out of like this whole 30-day journey?
The thing I kind of like most is actually the ACA framework, because it helped me a lot to understand how to approach communication with possible clients, right? And it kind of made it easier for me, and made it so much more structured, which is very very helpful, right?
1,000%. Awesome, brother. So, thank you for hopping on and just talking about your journey and how it was. I'm glad that I was able to work with you, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Appreciate it. Peace.
Peace out.